Aelin, Ash River, Whitethorn, Galathinius is the best female main character. Hey everybody, this is Kat.
And this is Rachel.
And you're listening to the Smut Peddlers podcast, a show for people who love books, especially when they're smut. We discuss our likes, our dislikes, and share all our favorite moments with you.
Today we are talking about Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas for the last time. So grab your favorite beverage and get ready to burn with us. This is it. Part 10 of Kingdom of Ash. The final part. We've been reading this whole series, Throne of Glass, in the romantic order, and today we're going to cover chapters 112 to the last chapter, which is called A Better World.
Recap. We are in the thick of it. The 13 are dead, unfortunately.
Murtough, the height of battle.
Also dead, unfortunately. Gavriel, also dead. Not great.
We're depressed.
We are sad. So Aelin was battling Maeve and Erawan. Erawan has now flown off. Ilkin has grabbed him and he got whisked away somewhere. We assume towards Yrene because there was like healing magic power that emanated from the castle walls. Yrene and Elide have a plan. We don't know what that plan is, but Dorian's with them. So like there's that. Maeve.
Whatever Elide's plan is involves Yrene and Dorian. And that's correct. All we know.
Yep. Maeve is still just 1v1 Aelin on the ground. And Maeve has said that she knows her secret, which I'm assuming is that she doesn't have power.
Yeah.
So
I am also assuming that.
Aelin also has a plan. We also don't know what that's about. We don't know anything about that plan either. Rowan, Lorcan, and Fenrys are en route to Aelin's 1v1 situation with Maeve.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where our last part left off. So the heat of all the things, just the tippity top, we are there. Wave is crashing. So it's good. It's gonna be great. So essentially
we jump right into it.
Yeah.
With the confirmation that we were right.
Yes.
That Erawan fucks off because Yrene sends a signal of power up to lure him away.
Yeah. Essentially where Yrene, Dorian, and Elide went was to like one of the towers, like a high point of one of the towers, so that Yrene could just be like a beacon of light, just like, bing, I'm just gonna flash my power this way. Come on, Erawan. You know you want a piece of me. Come over here. And it works.
Yep.
Erawan goes there. It's not great. Essentially, she's just saying, here I am. Here I am. Come and get me. Just terrifying.
We get Maeve and Aelin still fighting. Maeve says that she never thought that she'd actually do it, like give her life to seal the gate, which I find fitting because Maeve does not understand human interactions.
Correct.
At all.
Yeah. Essentially, Maeve was in her mind, and all this time, Aelin was coming up with all of these potential plans of like, what if Dorian
ways to get out of
sacrifices
it.
His life? What if I could do this? What if I could do that? But essentially, the plans never came to fruition. So then, essentially, Maeve never thought that like, oh yeah, she would sacrifice herself for the greater good. Because Maeve wouldn't. But we all know that. Because Maeve's a piece of shit.
And we get confirmation that she does know that she doesn't have her magic anymore. She says, the queen who was promised is no more. Now you are nothing but an assassin with a crown and a commoner's gift of magic. And Aelin is doing her very best. But she is, like, losing steam. She is dealing with Maeve's onslaught of power and can't really do anything back. Like, she doesn't have the power to really, like, fight back. So she's just kind of defending herself and staying up and alive as long as she can, which is not good.
No. Maeve also makes a note of how so we get a touch of this earlier in the last section that Aelin's sword has flame and her shield has flame. Essentially, before Aelin went and gave up her power, she imbued her magic into those items. And so Maeve makes a comment that it was clever of you to add your gift to these two items, no doubt done before you yielded everything to the word Kate. A precaution, should I not return, Aelin panted, a weapon to kill Volg. We shall see, Maeve struck again. Essentially, we learned that she put all of these other things in place in case she didn't survive. Like, she was really banking on her not surviving the word keys. So
yeah, it also like is super helpful for her because now it makes it like continues to make it look like she has her power, which is one of the, I think, ways that she fooled Erawan, at least for as long as she did.
Yeah,
of, she can light her sword on fire.
What I don't get is like why Maeve didn't, like, Maeve could have countered anything Aelin was saying by being like, she doesn't have her power.
Erawan down. She, like, this is where I am like, Maeve is clever. She is, to me, the way better villain. Erawan is just terrifying. But Maeve is so much more manipulative that she's always scared me more. She lets Erawan believe that she still has her magic, because the more that he fights with Aelin, the more magic he ends up using and the weaker he becomes, so that when she's eventually defeated, Maeve doesn't have to... he's, like, weaker than he would have been if Maeve then has to go and fight him.
Yeah.
So, like, and Aelin kind of says that. She's like, she just wants us to fight so that when I die, like, I can weaken you down as much as I can fighting against you, because then Maeve's just going to sweep in and be like, cool, great. Bye, dude.
Yeah.
The more that he spends his power fighting Aelin and against Harrison, the less she has to worry about when he wins.
Yeah. Yeah, his guard will be down
right now. It doesn't serve her to say, hey, she doesn't have any power. You can basically just smite her where she stands. Because then he has all of this power that she's like, okay, great. Now I have to fight you at your full strength because you took care of her so quickly.
Unfortunately,
now that she's on her own,
yeah,
Maeve is like, well, now I can smite you where you stand.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Maeve gets a strike on Aelin and is able to pretty much wrap her power around her mind again and do a little bit of mind control, which scared the shit out of me because I had not read this yet before, and I went, if this was all a fucking manipulation by Maeve and she's still in a fucking box, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Yeah. Maeve goes into Aelin's mind, which we, like, can basically infer that that's what happened, but all it reads is she gets hit, Aelin goes down, and then all of a sudden Aelin is told to wake up, and she wakes up and she's back in the box. And she's like, wake up, you've been dreaming such strange wandering dreams. And Aelin, like, looks down and she's got all of her scars on her. She's thin. She's back in that box. And Maeve says, I can make this easy for you. Tell me where the word keys are, swear the blood oath, and these chains, this mask, this box, all of it will go away. They hadn't even begun yet to tear her apart. All of it a dream, one long nightmare. The keys remain unbound, the lock unforged. A dream while they sailed here, wherever here was. And even she even brings Karen back, which is fucking mean and evil and made me want to vomit.
Yeah, essentially next to Maeve is Karen when the box opens too, so it's like she really genuinely thinks I genuinely thought this was all like just manipulation that Maeve had created in her mind.
You do like 100% the way that it reads. Even I questioned myself the first time I read it of like, is this real? I will actually lose my shit. Karen runs a hand over the coffin in the dream and says, I broke some part of you, didn't I? And she remembers, I name you Alentia, spirit that cannot be broken. Aelin traced her metal encrusted fingers over her palm, where a scar should be, where it still remained, would always remain even if she could not see it. Nehemia, who had given everything for Eelway, and yet Nehemia had still felt the weight of her choices, still wished to be free of her burdens. It had not made her weak, not in the slightest. Spirit that could not be broken, you do not yield. She would endure it again if asked. She would do it. Every brutal hour of agony, and it would hurt, and she would scream, but she'd face it, survive it. Erebin had not broken her, neither had Endovier. She would not allow this waste of existence to do so now. Her shaking eased, her body going still, waiting. Maeve blinked at her, just once. Aelin sucked in a breath, sharp and cool. She did not want it to be over, any of it. Karen faded into the wind. Then the chains vanished with him. Aelin sat up in the coffin. Maeve backed away all of a step. Aelin surveyed the illusion so artfully wrought, the stone chamber with its braziers and hook from the ceiling, the stone altar, the open door, and roar of the river beyond. She made herself look, to face down that place of pain and despair. It would always leave a mark, a stain on her, but she would not let it define her. Hers was not a story of darkness. This would not be the story. She would she would fold it into herself, this place, this fear, but it would not be the whole story. It would not be her story. How did you not break? Maeve asked. Because I am not afraid, she said. Your fear of Erawan. You should have known better, Aelin said, the lingering embers within her shining bright. Who feared captivity and did all this to avoid it, you should have known better than to trap me, should have known I'd find a way. How did you not break? Maeve asked. Because I am not afraid. Your fear of Erawan and his brothers drove you, destroyed you. If there was anything worthwhile to destroy. And then there was your fear of Brannon, of me. Look what that brought you. This is all you have left of Doranel, this illusion. You hurt my mate, hurt the woman you tricked into thinking was his mate, killed her and broke him. Maeve smiled slightly. Yes, and I enjoyed every moment of it. Aelin answered the queen's smile with one of her own. Did you forget what I told you on that beach in Eelway? When Maeve merely blinked again, Aelin attacked. Blasting with a shield of fire, she drove Maeve to the side and launched a spear of blue flame. Maeve dodged the assault with a wall of dark power, but Aelin went on the offensive, striking again and again and again. Those words she snarled to Maeve in Eelway rang between them. I will kill you.
Ah! She essentially thought of Rowan, of all the things that Maeve has done, and then just kept striking over and over. And as she was, the illusion essentially fades away and falls apart because Maeve has to put more of her energy into actually physically fighting Aelin because she's strong and she can do that.
She almost completely breaks free, but Maeve distracts her in a split second with Elide.
Yeah.
Who's not actually there, but she makes her look like she's there. And she goes to protect Elide from an Maeve's attack and basically falls into her trap.
Mm-hmm.
Hands of shadow wrap around her throat, immovable, eternal. She basically tells her that you will swear the blood oath to me still, and is fully prepared to use, like, she knows that she's not gonna win if she just threatens her.
Mm-hmm.
She threatens, like, everyone that she loves. And at this point is just the greatest time and timing on the planet. This is when Rowan arrives.
Mm-hmm.
Maeve has her hands around Aelin's throat, like choking the life out of her. And Rowan comes in to save the day, but then saves her, and then Rowan and Lorcan arrive, and then she's just like, ah, how convenient! I don't need to hurt you, Aelin. I'll just fucking infiltrate their minds instead.
It's a lot easier to do that.
It's easier, and it's even more effective with you. The person who's fucking sacrifices themselves to protect everyone else is so great.
Yeah. Essentially, Rowan, Lorcan, Fenrys show up, and Maeve switches, like, pivots and puts her magic into them to manipulate their brains, which is really cool.
I love this scene so much because I like the idea that Maeve's power isn't like that there's something out there that counters it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like pure of acceptance of the thing that she's trying to torture you with. I love, because even up until just last episode, we talk about, like, the conversation that she has with Elide, where she's like, I didn't expect to survive this. Like, I wanted it to be over. And now she, like, finally has this acceptance of, I don't want it to be over. Mm-hmm. I will do all of this again to get back to here where I am, of, like, I will not be broken. I will not be afraid. And then it's like, yeah, you did it. And then immediately, like, no, guys, fuck, please.
Yep.
We were good.
So they show up, and Fenrir strikes first. He's in his wolf form and goes for Maeve's throat. Rowan is, like, reaching out for Aelin's hand, and then realizes Fenris's mistake as he's making it and tries to shout the warning, but it was a little bit too late. Huh?
Driven by rage.
Yeah. He was a little too late. Maeve pretty much slashed out at Fenris, and he kind of went to the ground. Rowan and Lorcan also surged their power at Maeve. It did not really do much. Maeve knew exactly where they were going to strike. Aelin tried to get them to run. They, of course, did not. Because, let's be honest, those three weren't going to. Even if they had a chance, essentially, the three of them had decided that we are going to die with her, if that's going to happen.
And that's not what's going to happen, because she won't let them die.
Yeah. So,
it's
pretty much a wave of darkness went around them, and she's in their minds. Aelin just sees Rowan screaming. Fenris is crying, and Lorcan is just, like, stone-faced. So,
that's terrifying.
Which is, yes, not great.
Yeah.
And then we go...
And that's where we leave them! It's so great!
Go check on Yrene and see how she's doing.
With Erawan.
Erawan shows up and is like, healer. And Irene's like, hello, yes, that's me.
Hi.
Hi, yes.
That is true. I am here.
It is I.
Do you know how long I have looked for you? Do you even know what you can do? Nope, we don't. Would you like to explain what other cool shit she may be able to do? I'd like to know.
Let us know, please.
This is so cool. Maeve thinks I left to destroy you. Your little fire queen thought so too. She could not conceive that I wanted to find you before Maeve, before any harm could come to you. And now that I have, what fun you and I shall have, Yrene Towers. Another step closer, but no more. Erawan went still, tried and failed to move. Looked at the stones of the balcony then, at the bloody mark he'd stridden across, too focused on his prey to notice. A word mark! To hold! To trap! The young healer smiled at him, and the white light around her hands winked out as her eyes shifted from gold to sapphire. I'm not Yrene!
Tee-hee-hee. I thought this was fantastic because, one, this touches on the note of, like, keep her safe at all costs, please, from Kale, and Dorian's like, yeah, don't worry about it. He shifts to look like Yrene, flares out his own magic. Irene's still, like, right there. So, like, essentially,
so
Erawan
good.
can sense that she's there. So, like, it's the perfect bait and switch. They, of course, Aelin's plan, Dorian knows it, and it has to do with the word keys, or word marks. So, of course, Erawan is now trapped on the ground, or in this spot. And Dorian's like, tee-hee, just kidding. You fucking killed my father. This is my revenge plot now.
It's so good. Also, just before this, he explains that in his world, Irene's kind are not healers, but executioners, like death maidens. They have the ability to heal, but they also have the ability to unheal and, like, destroy, like, completely in a thing's very soul.
Yep. Terrifying.
I am sorry to report that apart from what's about to happen, we get no explanation whatsoever about anything more about what he says at all. Ever.
Nope.
Nothing. It's
No.
just, like, the most dope sounding line on the planet where I'm like, cool, great. I wonder what they're going to do with that. Maybe she'll get some training. Nope. It's never mentioned again. Fuck.
Tee-hee. Definitely fine. Well,
it's cool though. It's fine.
Their plan goes great. So Erawan is now trapped. Word mark. Lysandra in rook form now drops Yrene.
She's
just
fucking
behind
sick.
Erawan. Like, bloop, here you go. Here she is. Dorian, of course, is like between Yrene and Erawan. Like, just still protecting her with his body as much as possible because he's like, I don't really want you to die.
Yrene is, like, glowing with healing light. Dorian is also, like, glowing with the healing light that he has. And then Elide also comes, like, flying out. Lysandra shifts into her ghost leopard form because it's not a scene with Lysandra in it if she takes one form. She has to have multiple because she's just so sick. Erawan did not seem to know where to look. Not as Dorian sent out a punch of his healing light that knocked him off balance. Not as Lysandra leaped upon the Dark King, pinning him to the stones. Not as Elide, Damaris in her hands, plunged the blade deep through Erawan's gut and between the stones below.
Fuck, man.
So good. Erawan screamed, but the sound was nothing compared to what came out of him as Yrene reached him, hands like burning stars, and slammed them upon his chest. The world slowed and warped, yet Yrene was not afraid. Ah! His dark power rose, a wave to devour the world. Yrene did not let it touch any of them. Hope. It was hope that Chaol said she carried with her, hope that now grew in her womb, for a better future, for a free world. It was hope that had guided two women at opposite ends of this continent 10 years ago, hope that guided Irene's mother to take up that knife and kill the soldier who would have buried Yrene alive, hope that had guided Marion Lockett when she chose to buy a young heir time to run with her life. Two women who had never known each other, two women who the world had deemed ordinary, two women, Josephine and Marion, who had chosen hope in the face of darkness. Two women, in the end, who had brought them all to this moment, this one shot at a future.
I like to say it's 4 women. 5 women.
So many women. 5 women?
That
What are the 5 women? Because I swear you're missing one, I'm sure.
Manon?
Yep.
Aelin, Elide, and Yrene are the ones that they're like referring to, and then
Yep.
Lysandra. Yrene and Aelin. So it's like if they say two women, it's Yrene and Aelin. But
Yes.
if it wasn't for Manon and Elide and Lysandra, we would not be here. It's all of them.
Yep.
All 5.
You could accomplish everything that needed to be accomplished with this book with just women. You didn't need any of the guys.
Mhm.
Were they
Essentially.
helpful? Sure. Did you actually need them?
At one point,
Dorian is wildly useful. It would be very tricky for them to do it without Dorian.
yeah.
But I still think they could do it without Dorian.
Yeah. I think the only thing Elide would have died in the woods if it wasn't for Lorcan.
Sure.
Because she was all turned around. Granted, if he didn't
Right.
show up, she may have kept the path because she was trying to lose him because she sensed him. So
Yep.
either he shows up and it saves her, or he
So-
showed up and it ruined her path to begin with. She was like on a good trajectory and she could have gotten to Orinth without him. But either way, he gets her to Aelin, essentially. So maybe
The boys are useful.
they're useful, but like the 5 women are really what did it. Like
The boys feel like plot devices more than the women feel like plot devices. The women feel like the essential part of the story, and the men are like, you guys all had a role to play, but like these are the ones that were, key.
Yeah.
These men were really key to these women's character development.
exactly.
I'm here for it.
And for them to get to each other. For the 5 women
Yes.
to converge on each other, the men caused that, technically.
Ugh. Erawan is like fighting back with his power. You have no power over me, Yrene said to him, into the body that housed that parasite of parasites. I shall rip you apart, he hissed, starting with that babe in your. A thought in Irene's power flared brighter. Erawan screamed. The power of creation and destruction, that's what lay within her. Life giver, world maker. Bit by bit, she burned him up, starting at his limbs, working inward. And when her magic began to slow, Yrene held out a hand. She didn't feel the sting of her palm cutting open, barely felt the press of the calloused hand that linked with hers, but when Dorian Havilliard's raw magic, barreled into her, Yrene gasped and turned into starlight, into warmth and strength and joy.
Dorian still has his healing magic because he has all of the magics. Everyone, he has them all. So he's like, healing magic? Let's just touch into that one and I'll give you some. Here you
I
go.
also love that, like, so many times it's been mentioned that, like, Dorian's well of power is intense. Like, people join or sense his power and they're like, that's a lot of power. And the next line is, Irene's power was life itself, pure, undiluted life. It nearly brought Dorian to his knees when he met its own, which is so good. Oh, Dorian, you're so powerful and strong and stuff. Dorian's like, fuck, this woman is strong. This magic is crazy.
Unfortunately, Dorian kills a little bit of time.
He makes a big risk and it gives me a lot of anxiety.
Yeah. So he demands Erawan tell him his father's name. Meanwhile, Yrene is like holding Erawan at bay and is like, hey guys, like we kind of have to like do this.
She
now.
hesitates.
But she hesitates so that he could get his answer. And like lets him question Erawan, which I think is fair considering all that Dorian went through.
Mhm.
But it's also terrifying because Erawan is like, could die with like just a little blink. Just let's kill him and be over with it. Essentially, he begs Erawan to give back his father's name, to give it back. And Yrene asks him softly, does it matter? Internally, Dorian says yes. He didn't know why, but it did. His father had been wiped from the afterworld, from every realm of existence, but he could still have his name given back to him. if only to repay the debt, if only so Dorian might grant the man some shred of peace. Erawan's power surged for them again. Dorian and Yrene shoved it back. Now, it had to be now. Tell me his name, Dorian snarled. Erawan smiled up at him. No. Tell me. It is your own. Erawan's eyes widened as the words came out of him, as Damaris drew it from him. But Dorian did not marvel at the sword's power. His father's name, Dorian. I took his name, Erawan spat, writhing as the words flowed from his tongue under Damaris's power. I wiped it away from existence, yet he only remembered it once. Only once. The first time he beheld you. Tears slid down Dorian's face at the unbearable truth. Perhaps his father had unknowingly hidden his name within him, a final kernel of defiance against Erawan, and had named his son for that defiance, a secret marker that the man within still fought, had never stopped fighting. Dorian, his father's name. Dorian let go of Damaris's hilt. Irene's breathing turned ragged. Now it had to be now. So Dorian said to Erawan, his tears burning away beneath the warmth of their magic, I brought down your keep, he smiled savagely, and now will bring you down as well. Then he nodded to Yrene. Erawan's eyes flared like hot coals, and Yrene unleashed their power once more. It's fantastic. Erawan can't do shit because they're too strong against him. And essentially, she snuffs out the parasite. And with that, he friggin' fucking turns to dust, essentially. His
the
corpse
last
is
thing
there.
that she does is like show him her mother's face and
Elide's
mother's face, and basically makes the last thing that he sees the two women that he thought were so inconsequential as to like even care about.
Mm-hmm.
And they were really like the architects of his complete and utter fucking destruction. And then, yeah, he just kind of like shrivels up and dies.
Yeah, he becomes like an old person, essentially. Like every time a Vol gets taken out,
His
like their body like
skin turned
decays.
gray and then began to wither to decay, life rotting away from within. And Yrene is like, burn it anyways, just to be sure.
Dorian didn't hesitate. Flames leaped out, devouring the decaying body before them. They were unnecessary. Before they'd ever begun to turn his clothing to ash, Erawan dissolved, a sagging bit of flesh and brittle bones. Dorian burned him anyway.
And then they watched in silence as he turned to ashes and a winter whim swept them over the balcony and out. It just like sweeps him away.
So Erawan's dead. But still, Maeve is fighting with Aelin, Rowan, Lorcan, and Fenrys, and we get to see what she is putting into their minds. Rowan gets dead Aelin. Perfect. Yep. Fantastic.
I'm surprised. Dead Aelin and tortured by his mate, who verbally tortured by his mate, who's like, you would choose her over me? I died because of all this. This is crap.
So Maeve shows him Aelin's lifeless body on a stake, essentially like a spike on the gates of Orinth. Her hair was shorn to her scalp, so like just plastered to her.
Cut her hair off.
Yeah. Just non-existent.
Lyria is just saying, you brought this upon yourself. So cool.
You brought this upon her as well, essentially saying that like this your fault that Aelin is dead, essentially. Fenrys gets to just keep seeing his brother over and over.
Connell.
Yeah. Connell, everything that happened to me was because of you. And then he gets to watch his brother like kill himself over and over again, which is, you know, so fantastic and wonderful.
I am dead because of you. I suffered because of you, and I will never forget it. Sick. He's also a wolf and can't speak. So, like, the whole time that he was being tortured post. It's great. It's so good.
Yeah.
Lorcan's is a lead.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Telling him that he's a worthless piece of shit.
He's bastard born. Bastard born. Not worth anything.
Oh.
And he says, I think you might be my mate. Elide snickered. Mate, why would you ever think you were entitled to such a thing? Which is the most horrible image you could put into someone's brain.
Also, the way that line is voice acted in the audiobook is expertly done. I have not heard, like, the way that they act that line is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's like he's on the verge of tears.
And he doesn't even say it like it's a surprise. He just, like, almost deadpan says it as, like, a fact. And he sounds like he's about to cry, and it's, like, breaking him to say it. And it's more of just, like, wait, but I like, this can't really be happening because I think you actually are my mate. And it's just it's so good.
Then we flash back to Aelin, and Aelin sees all of them suffering. She's stuck. She couldn't do it anymore. She's now, like, breaking because they're suffering in front of her. She was like, this was cool and fun when it was just me, but now it's all of them as well.
Maeve tells her about Gavriel. Says, a pity about Gavriel. At least he fell nobly.
Maeve
says, you didn't know, did you?
No. The lion will roar no longer, his life the asking price for defending his cub. At least she knows that Aedian's alive. Like, she gives her that little tidbit, which is great.
Fenrys was screaming. Rowan was just standing there silently, eyes vacant, horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Pain, unspeakable, imaginable pain. She had endured, perhaps worse, and yet Aelin didn't give Maeve time to react, time to even turn her head as she grabbed Goldrin where it lay beside her and hurled it at the queen. It missed Maeve by an inch. Enough to distract!
Mm-hmm.
And she burns. She lashes out with flame and burns Rowan, Fenrys, and Lorcan.
Yeah,
burning them, branding them.
Brands their shoulder.
Yep.
Then we go back to
Rowan.
This
is enough for Rowan to, like, feel it. Be like, what the fuck was that?
It's enough for both Rowan and Lorcan. Fenrys doesn't fully come out. But Rowan and Lorcan recognize this manipulation because they had been through it before with Maeve. So we go back to Rowan and how this essentially is happening simultaneously. Where he's still in the vision of Lyria, essentially telling him he's a lesser male. And then all of a sudden, he feels a twinge in his shoulder. And then burning, as if someone had pressed a brand to it, a red-hot poker, a flame. He looked down, but beheld no wound. Lyria continues, and he's just thinking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Not a memory, but a lifeline thrown into the dark, into an illusion, and that's what clicks. He realizes that this is his anchor point, just like he did to her with the word marks on her back. And so like he had once done, hauling her from the Vogue Prince. So essentially he had done something similar where he, like, hurt her or, like, caused her physical pain.
I think it was like when they were still at
Mistward, yeah.
He, like, does something that, like, brings her back from, like, them being in her mind. And she does the same thing. And
it's
then
how
he can, like,
she knows
feel
to do it.
He can feel that, like, that Maeve is, like, has, like, a hand basically on his mind.
Mm-hmm.
She had done it before, torn into his mind, twisted and taken from him this most vital thing, Aelin. He would not let her take it again. Lorcan's when we go back into Lorcan's mind, Lorcan's thing has shifted, and it's Elide on her deathbed, which is I love this one for Lorcan's, because it's like each one, like they're having to make some sort of acceptance or whatever about, I guess, like what they fear the most. And she, like, Elide is lying there, basically like dying from old age. "This is a truth you cannot outrun," she said. A sword above our heads. And he realizes that all of her wrinkles and all of her, like, lines are a life that they had lived together. The pain of parting because of how wonderful it had been. The darkness beyond thinned. Lorcan dug his hand into the burning wound in his shoulder. Elide let out a hacking cough that wrecked him, yet he took it into his heart, every bit of it, all that the future might offer, and it did not frighten him. Yay!
Essentially, so Rowan notices the brand, and then the way Lorcan notices it is a little different. It's like it hits him, and the illusion, like, kind of stutters slightly in the image. So it says, Lorcan roared at the brand that shredded through his senses, through Elide's mocking words, through the image of Paramp, the home he wanted so badly and might never see, roared, and the world rippled, became snow and darkness and battle. And Maeve, poised before them, her pale face livid, her power then lunged for him again, like a striking panther. So he comes out of it, and then goes back into a different image. And I was just like,
she, like, has to try a different tactic.
Yeah, it
does, like, pull him out. So I think it's just because he's so powerful that it takes her more effort to keep his mind in control, even than Rowan's.
It makes me think back to all the times that he was out and manipulating her in the same way, because, like, he knew that she had control, like, had some control over his mind, but he was like, I can do this, and, like, kind of counteract what she's doing. And it's just like, oh, like, that one little blip, and he was like, her power's out of here. And then she's like, oh, fuck. Like, get you back. Which I was just like, oh. And so then he realizes, like, okay, there's my pain point, and he just fucking presses into it with his hand to be like, I'm seeing this image, but I know that it's not real. Like, this is something that is going to happen in the future.
And it also, like, he accepts it and doesn't fear it anymore.
Yeah. Oh, it's so cute.
Fenrys, unfortunately, believes that he deserves everything that's happening to him right now, and just really settles into the self-deprecation. It's great. A burn, violent and unflinching, torn through him, as if someone had shoved his shoulder into a furnace. He deserved it. He welcomed it into his heart. He hoped it would destroy him. So he's still there.
He doesn't realize that the pain is because there's an illusion of Connell repeatedly killing himself over and over again in front of him. Then, of course, Aelin feels a little guilty. Pain, the thing she had dreaded inflicting upon them most, she had fought to keep them from. The scent of their burned flesh stung her nostrils, and Maeve let out a low laugh. Was that a shield, Aelin? Or were you trying to put them out of their misery? So Maeve doesn't know what she's doing. But then Aelin's like, oh no, I hurt them. I feel bad. And I'm like, bitch, shut up. You're doing exactly what you need to fucking do to get them back onto this plane of existence.
Yep. Rowan, I guess it says that he kneels beside her. So I guess he, like, just is, like, crying really close. Oh, because he had stood next to her to help her up.
Yeah.
And then he gets attacked. So then now he's kneeling down next to her.
Yeah. And essentially, he, like, falls to his knees.
Yeah. Because this was, when I was reading this, I was like, how is she so close to him? And why?
Yeah. He
like, why is that allowed?
Forward to get
I forgot about that.
Her hands off of him.
His hand twitches.
Hand. Yeah. And Aelin sees it, but Maeve doesn't.
Maeve does not. Because
great.
Also, basically at the same time, Fenrys, like, stops again, like, loses control. And Maeve, like, gets distracted by this slightly.
Well, it's
And
Lorcan.
Aelin.
I think it's when Lorcan comes out, I think that distracts her enough that he's able to, like, have some kind of movement where Aelin notices. He twitched, and that was to slice his hand open on the sword that was on the ground.
So his hand is open and bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fenrys, like, he also is like staring straight ahead, but he, like, does, like, a beckoning gesture, basically.
To be
and, like,
hey,
Fenrys
Aelin,
is, like, over there
hand.
sobbing, and Maeve gets, like, temporarily distracted, and so then Aelin goes and slices her hand on, like, the hatchet that's near her while she's distracted. And then Maeve says, "What a waste for these fine males to leave my service only to wind up bound to a queen with hardly more than a few drops of power to her name." Aelin closed her hand around Rowan's. A door flung open between them, a door back to himself, to her. His fingers locked around hers. Aelin let out a low laugh. "I may have no magic, but my mate does." Waiting to strike from the other side of that dark doorway, Rowan hauled Aelin to her feet as their powers, their souls, fused. The force of Rowan's magic hit her, ancient and raging. Ice and wind turned to searing flame. Her heart sang, roaring at the power that flowed from Rowan and into her. At her side, her mate held fast, unbreakable. Rowan Whitethorn does not have the brute power that you once did. Perhaps he doesn't, Lorcan. Not there yet. Perhaps he doesn't, Lorcan said from a step behind them, his eyes clear and free, but together we do. He glanced at Aelin, a hand rising to the angry red burn marring his chest. "And beyond us," Aelin said, stretching a mark through the snow with the blood she'd spilled, her blood, and Rowan's. "I think they'll have plenty too." They open portals. Exactly as the word marks in the book Chaol and Yrene had brought from the southern continent as promised. Precisely where Aelin had intended, where she had glimpsed as she tumbled through the word gate, where she and Rowan had ventured days ago, testing this very portal. I have no idea where they actually go. It's described as, like, it's just a forest that's older than Oakwald and trees that could be found north of Terracin. Like, wherever the Fae, I guess, like, came from, and they take her there.
I think it was where the remaining of the Fae and Wolf people were hiding.
I don't know where that is. Or how they even got there.
I don't think it's a different world. But when she was falling back to her world, when she finally went into the door, she, like, saw all of the planet, essentially, or whatever it is, the world that they're on.
She had glimpsed as she tumbled back through the word gate.
Yeah. So she went through that specific spot, and then she notices, as she's falling through, we really stuck on the, like, stars situation. Yeah. But as she gets
it's in her own world.
But as she gets to her world, she notes Oakwald, and then, like, a very snowy area with people, and then, like, where she needs to be.
Gotcha.
So, like, as she's getting back to her spot, she
basically just had brief Google Maps available.
Essentially,
she had a satellite view.
Satellite view
see where they were. Gotcha.
All of the world, and she went, "There's Fae over there." And then that continued falling to Oakwald.
Good idea. So, these Fae, not big fans of Maeve, because they're Fae that basically ran when she appeared. And they've been out there this whole time.
Yeah, so they're the ones that remember her taking over, like, the Fae area.
Yeah.
Too.
Also not fans at all of the Karen Quee, the spiders. Because basically since then, they've just been running amok up there, fucking shit up. So they were like, Aelin goes there and basically says, hey, would you guys be able to help me with a thing if I get this far? And they were like, can we have the spiders to ourselves? Can we take care of them for you? And she's
And Aelin's like,
absolutely.
Sounds great. They're
That
all
sounds fantastic.
yours. I don't want to deal with them. Sounds wonderful.
The Fae who dwelled in Terrasen are not wiped out so thoroughly. They found a new home with the Wolf Tribe. And did you know that while many of them came here with Brandon, there was an entire clan of Fae who arrived from the southern continent, fleeing you, I think. All of them, actually, don't really like you, I'm sorry to say. But do you know who they hate even more? Those spiders. Nezrin Philique told me about how their ancestors battled them in the southern continent, how they fled you when you tried to keep their healers chained, and then wound up having to battle your little friends, and then came to Terrasen. They still remembered. Some of the truth was lost, grew muddled, but they remembered. They taught their offspring, trained them. I told them I'd deal with you myself, but the spiders are all theirs. I think they've been waiting a while, actually. The Iron Teeth Witches, too. Apparently, the Yellow Legs weren't very kind to those trapped in their animal forms these 10 years.
So they don't like the spiders, and they don't like the witches. So we just got a whole force of people who are angry and have not just been in war for so long. So they're like ripe and ready to go.
Maeve goes pale. Paled further as magic sparked and surged, and those spider hybrids went down, their shrieks of surprise silenced under Asterian blades. Fenrys.
Fenrys is still locked in.
It's the fucking roller coaster of shit. We're like, This is dope, this is great, and then Aelin goes, Fenrys is still under mind control and is fucking screaming. It's like, okay, great.
So Rowan squeezes Aelin's hand, and he notices that Aelin is locked on Fenrys, like eyes locked on Fenrys. And she is screaming down the blood oath, look at me, like demanding him to look at her. Because we know the only time she ever uses the blood oath is to save their fucking lives. So she's like, look at me, look at me, look at me. You need to look at me right now. And then as his face kind of turns towards her, his eyes are still a little vacant. They sort of become like unfuzzy. And she blinks 4 times at him, pretty much saying, I am here, I am with you. And he doesn't reply. So she continues to do it. I am here, I am with you. The entire time, Maeve is going on some tangent that I don't give a shit about.
She's evil monologuing. The only thing that's important about her evil monologuing is she looks at Aelin and Rowan and says, I suppose you think you can finish me off now in some grand fashion, you who I have wronged the most. Oh, sweet, sweet Maeve, you do not understand who you have wronged the most. You dumb bitch.
So she just keeps, I am
She's
here.
Monologuing.
I am with you.
Aelin's here.
Then Fenrys finds himself blinking back. Just once, yes. And when Aelin's eyes moved again, he understood. Aelin looked to Rowan, found her mate already smiling at her, aware of what likely awaited them. Together, she said quietly. And then they erupted. Flame, white hot and blinding, roared toward Maeve. Aelin and Rowan struck over and over again, Lorcan battering her from the side, forcing Maeve to retreat another step. I'd say, Aelin panted, speaking above the glorious roar of magic through her, that you haven't wronged us the most at all. Like alternating punches, Lorcan struck with them. Fire, then midnight death. Maeve's dark brows narrowed. Aelin flung out a wall of flame that pushed Maeve back another step. But him, he has a score to settle with you. Maeve's eyes went wide and she made to turn, but not fast enough. Not fast enough at all as Fenrys vanished from where he knelt and reappeared right behind Maeve. Goldrin burned bright as he plunged it through her back into the dark heart within. Let's fucking go, Fenrys.
So good. This basically, like, incapacitates Maeve. Because it's, like, magic immortal sword, okay?
It also has flame on it, which is, like, Volg
not
venom.
good for Volg. Volg, not fan of flame at all.
No.
Maeve is, she's incapacitated, and she just, like, looks at it, and she's like, take it out.
Mm-hmm.
And Aelin only looks to Lorcan. Anything to say? Lorcan smiled grimly, surveying the Fae and wolf riders wreaking havoc on the spiders. Long live the queen, the very queen of the West. So good. Maeve snarls, and it's not human at all. Or Fae. Or anything. Like, she basically
she's
just
full
stops
Volg
pretending to be anything but what she is, which is Volg. And she keeps, like, begging for her to take the blade out. Maeve says,
and
I'll go anywhere you want me to go. Banish me anywhere, but take the blade out. And Aelin, like, talks to her about it for a minute and is like, you'd go anywhere that we send you? Like, she asks her if you love this world, you love Aurelia. And she responds, yes, in the way that I can love anything, which I think is, like, a weirdly truthful answer for her.
Mm-hmm.
And if I chose to banish you, you would go wherever it was we decide and never bother us again or any other. And Maeve says, yes. Aelin drew close just as she slid something onto Maeve's finger and whispered in Maeve's ear, then go to hell. Maeve reared back, but too late. Too late as the gold ring, Silba's ring, and Athrel's ring, shone on her pale hand. Aelin backed to Rowan's side as Maeve began to scream. Screaming and screaming towards the dark sky, towards the stars. The ring will protect you against Volg, or if you are Volg, it's basically fucking poison.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's great. So she's dying. And they all stand there and watch her, like, suffer and start to just writhe in pain.
Mm-hmm. Aelin removes the sword, removes Galdrin, and Maeve sags. She's still, like, being incapacitated by this ring. Maeve lifts a dark, hateful eyes as Aelin raises Galdrin. Aelin only smiled down at her. We'll pretend my last words to you were something worthy of song. She swung the burning sword. Maeve's mouth was still open in a scream as her head tumbled to the snow. Black blood sprayed, and Aelin moved again, stabbing Galdrin through Maeve's skull into the earth beneath. Burn her, Lorcan said. Lorcan rasped. Rowan's hand, warm and strong, found Aelin's again, and when she looked up at him, there were tears on his face. Not at the dead Volg queen before them, or even at what Aelin had done. No, her prince, her husband, her mate, gazed to the south, to the battlefield. Even as their power melded and she burned Maeve into ash and memory, Rowan stared toward the battlefield, where line after line of Volg soldiers fell to their knees mid-fight with the Fae and wolves and Dargan cavalry, where the rooks flapped in amazement as Ilkin tumbled from the skies, like they had been struck dead. Far out, several shrill screams rent the air, then fell silent, an entire army, mid-battle, mid-blow, collapsing. It rippled outward, that collapsing the stillness, until all of Morath's host lay unmoving, until the iron teeth fighting above realized what was happening and veered southward, fleeing from the Rookin and witches who now gave chase, until the dark shadow surrounding the fallen army drifted away on the wind too. Aelin knew for certain then where Erawan had gone, who had brought him down at last. So Aelin wrenched her sword free of the pile of ashes that had been Maeve. She lifted it high to the night sky, to the stars, and let her cry of victory fill the world. Let the name she shouted ring out, the soldiers on the field in the city taking up the call until all of Orinth was singing with it, until it reached the shining stars of the Lord of the North gleaming above them, no longer needed to guide her way home. Yrene, Yrene, Yrene. Let's fucking go, Yrene.
Ugh.
Kael, on the other hand, KO'd for a little bit.
I thought this was very funny. Yeah, they're both KO'd for a little bit. But he does...
Kael awoke to warm, delicate hands stroking over his brow. Where we're like, oh yeah, that's right. Yrene just exuded so much energy. Of course, Kael just fucking took a little nap.
Yeah, he needs a nap. He needs
for
a
a
nap.
little. Which
His first words
completely
to her are,
just like forget.
I don't... I know, I was...
And then I read this and I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
He probably a little tired. She probably a little tired. It makes sense. One moment he'd been fighting his way down the battlements, the next oblivion. He says to Yrene, I don't know whether to start yelling or crying. Ugh.
All he hears after that is cheering.
They're all cheering her name.
They're cheering Yrene.
Oh.
Not one bone drum, not one snarl or roar. And Yrene, still stroking his face, was smiling at him. Feel free to yell all you like, she said. But Kael just gaped at her as it hit him what exactly had happened. Why that surge of power had happened. For they were calling her name. The army, the people of Orinth, were calling her name. Yrene had done the impossible. It's over. Yippee!
I love that bit so much.
It's so cute.
She says back, it's over. And the last line of it is, but life, Kael realized life was just beginning. Yes. So basically, like, the rest of this is these, like, beautiful, like, vignettes of, like, everyone finding out and realizing that, like, basically the same thing. Sartaq and Nesrin's is... Sartaq says, you know what victory means, don't you? And Nesrin says, a good night's rest. And Sartaq's reply is, that we're going home and that you're coming home with me. And I was like, oh, that is, you're coming home with me. I was like, okay, great.
First,
and then
I think
Aelin...
my favorite is they start that conversation. The first thing Sartaq says is, are you hurt? She says no. Sartaq gripped her shoulders. Are you hurt? Or she doesn't respond. Are you hurt? He just like repeatedly says, are you hurt? And when she finally says no, he's like has a smirk on his face and then goes, you know what victory means, don't you? And then immediately goes into this. So he goes from this like, are you hurt? Are you hurt? You're not answering me. Please answer me. Are you hurt? And then she says no and he's like, perfect.
Fantastic. You're coming home with me now. Goodbye. We should go.
Over his shoulder. See you later. Bye, everyone.
Fireman carry. 100%. Aelin, Rowan, and Lorcan... Aelin, Rowan, Lorcan, and Fenrys make their way to the city. And Aelin gets to walk through the gates of Orinth.
She has yet to be in Orinth.
I know.
This is her first walk in.
She has not
so
been
she
there.
shows up on fucking the king of the North? Is it the king of
Lord of the North?
Lord of the
King
North?
of the North is a
I said
different
North
book series.
King, and I was like, that's not correct.
Nope.
Lord of the North.
There you go.
She comes in hot and heavy, ready to go. She gets to the southern gate. Doesn't get to go inside. She's like, nah, I'm gonna hang out here and fight
Gets
these
locked
two.
outside. And then she has to go fight Erawan and Maeve. Still can't go inside.
Yep. So she finally gets to go in.
Aelin only looked at her people, smiling broadly and freely as she entered Orinth, and they began to cheer, welcoming her home at long last. We get Adian's, like, he gets a chance to grieve Gavriel.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like, has this nice moment of mourning, like, the time that they didn't get together. And that, like, it would have been nice to have that time. Which I think is great. Because I also think, like, he does have a moment where he's like, I hope that he knew that I would have wanted that time together. And I do think that he did.
I think at
like,
the end when he agreed to
that
like
last moment when
yeah.
he's like, yes, we'll do this together, he has so much pride, like the sorrow on his face that it like says. I really do think that that's just more like the same thing that Aedion has of like, he wished that he had more time, but he knows that it's because he knows that time would have been with the two of them together. Which just yay. I think Gavriel knows that he is his dad and would have been happy to be his dad. Lysandra is there comforting him. And then Falcon finds them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, someone
Finally
approaches them and Aedion is like, who the fuck are you? And like pushes Lysandra behind them. And he's like, I've been looking for you for 10 years.
Yeah, he essentially says, are you Lady Lysandra? And when she agrees, he introduces himself as Falcon Anar. I have been looking for you for a very, very long time.
Oh.
And then it came out, Falcon's tears flowing as he told her. Her uncle. He was her uncle. Her father had been much older than him, but ever since Falcon had learned of her existence, he'd been searching for her. 10 years, he'd hunted for his dead brother's abandoned child, visiting Rifthold whenever he could, never realizing that she might have his gifts too, might not wear any of his brother's features. But Nesrin Falik had found him, or they'd found each other, and then they had figured it out, a bit of chance in this wide world.
He also tells her that, like, she'll inherit, like, his entire fortune and says, whatever you wish, you shall never want for anything. And Lysandra just grabs Aedion's hand and says, I already have everything I need. Yay!
I do like that she flings her arms around him and hugs him, though.
Yeah.
It was pure joy on her face as she flung her arms around Falcon and embraced him tightly. Aedion watched, silent and ripped open, yet happy for her. Dorian, still just where Erawan was poofed away into non-existence.
Mm-hmm.
He pulls Damaris from the stone. And the only trace that's left of Erawan is like a onyx color that's now on the sword, which freaked me out, not gonna lie.
And on the ground.
Yeah.
On the spot where he basically gets obliterated is like stained.
Yeah.
Black.
The blade had turned black as onyx. A swipe of his finger down the fuller revealed it was a stain that would not be cleansed.
Mm-hmm.
He realized he needed to get off the tower and find Kale and find everyone else. I believe Manon finds him first.
Right before she finds him, he asks, he holds the sword and he says, I am human.
It warms
and
in
it
his
glows. Oh, yay. I'm happy that he gets an answer, but I'm also sad that he needed it to tell him the answer. I think it was more, I do believe that it was more of a confirmation, but I don't know. I'll accept it. But he should know.
Yeah.
I think that it's a confirmation.
As he does this, wings boom, and then Abraxos was landing on the balcony beside him, a white-haired rider atop. Hello, princeling. He scanned the skies for the 13, for Asterin. Manon said quietly, You will not find them in this sky or any other. His heart strained as he understood. Manon did not back away as he slid his arms around her. I am sorry, he said into her hair. Tentatively, slowly, her hands drifted across his back, then settled, embracing him. I miss them, she whispered, shuddering. Dorian only held her tighter and let Manon lean on him for as long as she needed, Abraxos staring toward that blasted bit of earth on the plain, toward the mate who would never return while the city below celebrated. Ah,
I'm so proud of her.
sad.
She lets herself be comforted.
Only by Dorian and Abraxos. But then Abraxos is like, she gets to be comforted, and I just have to go look over here at this black spot where Yrene was.
Yeah, well, Abraxos is stronger than her. Let's be real.
Fair.
Abraxos is like, it sucks and it hurts, but it was worth it. Mm-hmm. Her sacrifice was worth it, and Manon is just gonna be angry and sad for a while.
Yeah.
So Aelin makes it inside.
Finally.
And she goes and finds Darrow, who is with Evangeline. Mm-hmm. And Darrow just, like, stares at her, grumpy. And Evangeline, like, nudges him and is like, hey, let's go. You got things you gotta say. And Darrow, like, is like, oh, yeah, sorry. And
a young ward and I were told that when you went to face Erawan and Maeve, your magic was heavily depleted. I just like that he refers to Evangeline as my young ward and I.
Yeah, because she doesn't know yet either. Like, this is basically Aelin finding out that Darrow has named her his heir as well.
It was and shall remain so forever. Darrow shook his head. Why? Not about her magic being whittled to nothing, but why she had gone to face them with little more than embers in her veins. Terrasen is my home, Aelin said. It was the only answer in her heart. Darrow smiled, just a bit. So it is. He bowed his head, then his body. Welcome, your majesty. But Aelin looked to Evangeline, the girl still beaming. Win me back my kingdom, Evangeline. Her order to the girl all those months ago. And she didn't know how Evangeline had done it, how she had changed this old lord before them. Yet there was Darrow, gesturing to the gates, to the castle behind him. Evangeline winked at Aelin as if in confirmation. Aelin just laughed, taking the girl by the hand, and led that promise of Terrasen's bright future into the castle. Evangeline.
That was like the one that I did not see coming at all. Like, this entire time, I'm like watching Evangeline go and do all of these things, the whole time being like, wow, Darrow actually like did one nice thing. And then I'm sitting here reading this and being like, Evangeline, you sneaky little bitch. You fucking did this the whole time. And Evangeline's just like, yeah, you fucking gave me an order and I executed. Here you go.
She's like, you are my queen. I did the thing.
Ma'am, mission achieved. Gotcha. What's my next task?
Alive. Your kingdom returned.
Kingdom yours. Have a good one.
Darrow leads them towards the dining hall.
Darrow leads them towards the dining hall, and they find Adian. She flings herself at Adian for a hug, which is lovely. Mm-hmm. And they have a nice, like, hug, because now they're both home. They're both home together. It's so cute. And she just says, I'm sorry, and asks where he is. Talking, like, of Gavriel. And Adian leads them to, like, a room in the castle where Gavriel's been, like, laid out. And she goes up to Gavriel And she says to him, I wished to wait to offer you the blood oath until after your son had taken it. But I offer it to you now, Gavriel. With honor and gratitude, I offer you the blood oath. Let the world know that you are a male of honor and that you stood by your son and this kingdom and helped to save it. She kissed the cold brow. You are blood sworn to me, and you shall be buried here as such. She pulled away, stroking his cheek once. Thank you. It was all there was left to say. And she leaves, and like the cadre stays around and like have their moment with Gavriel to say goodbye.
This
And
part, we get a notice. This is finally when we're told that Fenrys has like a bloodied face.
Oh, yeah, because from his fight with Maeve, he gets slashed down the face.
She slashes him down the face?
Maeve cuts him. When Fenrys leaps to like the first time before they get like their minds taken control of or whatever, Fenrys leaps at Maeve, and Maeve like basically like fights
back
he
yelps.
And cuts him right in the face.
Because then, I swear I got to this point, I went, what the fuck? I was like, was he clawing at his face during this thing that was happening to him? I was like, when the fuck did he get scratches down his face?
He like gets slashed like right down the face by one of her like attacks or whatever. So that's cool. He doesn't really care.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably gonna say some dumb shit like it makes him look
cool or something. Yeah.
Cool or something.
Aelin leaves the cadre there to like have their moment. They all
and
do
they sing like a mourning song for him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it hurts.
Rowan knelt and began to sing the ancient words, the words of mourning, as old and sacred as Terrasen itself, the same prayers she'd once sung and chanted while he tattooed her.
It's so pretty. It's all coming
Aelin
full
looped
circle.
her arm through Adian and let him lean on her as they walked back to the great hall. Darrow called me your majesty, she said after a minute. Adian slid his red-rimmed eyes to her, but a spark lit them, just a bit. Should we be worried? Aelin's mouth curved. I thought the same damn thing.
Elide is like still helping with the wounded. So she's down there like with the healers. And Manon comes in with a witch and she sees Elide. And Elide sees Manon. And they go up to each other. And Elide like sees all the sorrow on Manon's face. And all Elide has to say is who. And Manon's throat bobbed all. And Elide realizes that all of the 13 are dead. Manon closed the distance between them, and even with that grief in her battered, bloodied face, she put a hand on Elide's shoulder in comfort, as if the witch had learned how to do such things. Elide's vision stung and blurred, and Manon wiped away the tear that escaped. Live, Elide, was all the witch said to her before striding out of the hall once more. Live. Manon vanished into the teeming hall, braids swaying, and Elide wondered if the command had been meant for her at all. It's because it wasn't! It was what, it's what Astrid said to her. She goes and finds Lorcan after this, and because he was grieving.
Mm-hmm.
And Lorcan hugs her and says, I hear that you were to thank for Erawan's instruction. And Elide's like, no, that was Elide. And Lorcan was like, was it not your plan? Or sorry, that was Yrene. And Lorcan's like, yeah, but it was your plan, right?
I just came up with the idea.
It was a group effort. It wasn't me. And she's like, and Lorcan's just like, whatever. It was you did it, but cool. And she says, oh, so then they also hear from Paranth.
Yeah,
Lorcan,
she asks
gets
Lorcan
word
about
from
Paranth.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then he basically is like, the same thing that happened here happened in Paranth, of like, all of the soldiers just kind of, they poofed. And then Paranth has, like, taken back control now, so they have control.
Mhm.
And Elide says, thank
They
Aneth
also
for
flew
that.
a group of healers over there to begin tomorrow to, like, try to save as many as possible.
A group of them will be flown over tomorrow to begin.
Or Silba, I suppose.
Because they're gonna heal the ones that are still possessed.
Yeah.
And she says, thank Aneth for that, or Silba, I suppose. And Lorcan says, they're both gone. Thank yourself. So good. Elide waved him off, but Lorcan kissed her. When he pulled away, Elide breathed, what was that for? Ask me to stay, was all he said. Her heart began racing. Stay, she whispered. Light, such beautiful light, filled his dark eyes. Ask me to come to Paranth with you. Her voice broke, but she managed to say, come to Paranth with me. Lorcan nodded, as if in answer, and his smile was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. Ask me to marry you. Elide began crying, even as she laughed. Will you marry me, Lorcan Salvater? He swept her up into his arms, raining kisses over her face, as if some final, chained part of him had been freed. I'll think about it. God damn it. You little shit. Elide laughed, smacking his shoulder, and then laughed again louder. Lorcan set her down. What? Elide's mouth bobbed as she tried to stop her laughing. It's just, I'm Lady of Paranth. If you marry me, you will take my family name. He blinked. Elide laughed again. Lord Lorcan Lockin! Yay!
It sounded just as ridiculous coming out. Lorcan blinked at her, then howled. She never heard such a joyous sound. He swept her up in his arms again, spinning her. I'll use it with pride every damn day of the rest of my life. I will marry you, Elide Loccan, and proudly call myself Lord Lorcan Loccan, even when the whole kingdom laughs to hear it. And when we are wed, I will bind my life to yours, so we will never know a day apart, never be alone ever again. It's so good.
Oh, it's perfect. Oh, it's so great.
Lorcan clasped her wrist gently, prying her hands from her face. His smile was tentative. If you would like that, of course. I would like that more than anything, she whispered back.
Of course.
Lorcan Loccan.
Lorcan Loccan! It's real.
Yippee!
Yrene has a conversation with Hafiza too.
Yeah, essentially everyone's just like...
This is just like everybody's getting their little wrap-up stories. It's fucking great. Yrene and Hafiza have a conversation of like, Hafiza basically is like, you're not coming back with us. And Yrene is like, yeah, I'm not. I'm staying here. Hafiza's
What's
like,
funny
gosh
is, like,
darn it. I gotta find another heir apparent. God damn it.
It was more of like, Hafiza didn't even like ask the question. She just said to Yrene, you're not coming back with us. And Yrene kind of like hesitated, and Hafiza's like, no, you're not coming back with us. She goes, yeah, I know.
No, I won't. She says I'm sorry, and Hafiza goes, whatever for, you found love and happiness. There is nothing more than I could ever wish for you. And Yrene says, I don't want you to think I wasted your time. Hafiza crowed with laughter. Wasted my time. Yrene Towers. Yrene Westfall. You have saved us all. You will stay in these lands, but even with oceans dividing us, we will remain linked here. She touched her chest right over her heart. And no matter the years, you will forever have a place at the Torre, always. And then Yrene is like, hey.
What if?
What if? And Hafiza's like, yeah? What if what? What if, once I have settled in Otterlin, had this babe, when the time was right, what if I established my own Torre here? Hafiza cocked her head as if listening to the cadence of the statement while it echoed into her heart. A Torre Chesme in the north. In Otterlin in Rifthold. A new Torre to replenish what Erawan destroyed. To reach the children who might not realize... God, wow. To teach the children who might not realize they have the gift, and those who will be born with it. And Fiza says, I like that idea very much, Yrene Westfall. So she's gonna open a Tory in the north. Oh, it's so great.
Manon, on the other hand, cannot sleep. She just hangs out with the Abraxos the whole time, not able to sleep, talks to Bronwyn, Glennis, and Petra. They pretty much are like, so what now, queen? And she's like, we go home to the wastes. Or, no, Petra arrives because, one of the Kraken that were late.
She's still thinking about, like, what are they going to do, like, in the next couple of days? Because they haven't finished counting their dead. And Petra's like, no. I meant, what are we going to do after that?
What then?
And she's like,
what should you like to do? Petra asks
what are we supposed
Glennis.
to do?
Glennis said softly, go home. Manon swallowed. You and the Krakens may leave whenever you to the waste, Glennis said, together. Manon and Petra swapped a glance. Petra said, we cannot. Bronwyn's lips curved upward. You can. Manon blinked and blinked again as Bronwyn extended a fist toward Manon and opened it. Inside lay a pale purple flower, small as Manon's thumbnail, beautiful and delicate. A bastion of Krakens just made it here, a bit late, but they heard the call and came, all the way from the wastes. Manon stared and stared at the purple flower. They brought this with them from the plain before the witch city. The barren, bloodied plain, the land that had yielded no flowers, no life beyond grass and moss, and Manon's sight blurred, and Glennis took her hand, guiding it toward Bronwyn's before the witch tipped the flower into Manon's palm. Only together can it be undone, Glennis whispered. Be the bridge, be the light. A bridge between their two peoples, as Manon had become. A light as the 13 had exploded with light, not darkness, in their final moments. When iron melts, Petra murmured, her blue eyes swimming with tears, the 13 had melted that tower, melted the iron teeth within it, and themselves. When flowers spring from fields of blood, Bronwyn went on. Manon's knees buckled. Glennis finished. Let the land be witness, the battlefield where the rulers and citizens of so many kingdoms, so many nations had come to pay tribute, to witness the sacrifice of the 13 and honored them. Silence fell. Manon whispered, her voice shaking, as she held that small, impossibly precious flower in her palm, and returned home. Glennis bowed her head. And so the curse is broken, and so we shall go home together as one people. The curse was broken. Manon guided her wyvern, Abraxos, to the burnt, blasted battlefield. And smiling through her tears, laughing in joy and sorrow, Manon laid that precious flower from the wastes upon the ground, in thanks and in love, so they would know, so Astrid would know, in the realm where she and her hunter and child walked hand in hand, that they had made it, that they were going home.
Oh, God damn it.
It's so good. Aelin also wanted to sleep, but she couldn't. She ignored all of the offers to find a room and a bed. Instead, she and Rowan had gone to the Great Hall and talked to the wounded and did all of that fun stuff.
Everybody shows up.
Yeah.
Lorcan, Elide, Fenrys, Aelin, Lysandra, and Ren all show up. And, like, the first thing she says is she, like, looks at the stain on the ground. Everybody pretty much looks at the stain on the ground. And she just goes, we're gonna put a rug over it. Lysandra laughed. Something tacky, I hope. I'm thinking pink and purple, embroidered with flowers. Just what Erawan would have loved, Aelin says. Mm-hmm. It's so good. Rowan snorted again. At least this court won't be boring.
Hee.
Adian looks at Ren and is like, now is the chance to escape, before you get sucked in to this endless nonsense. Ren says, you gave up everything and still came back here. Still fought. All of it for Terrasen, she said quietly. Yes, I know, Ren said. I understand that now. I think I might need a bit of nonsense myself after this war. Adian muttered, you'll regret saying that. But Aelin sketched a bow. Oh, he certainly will. I swear to you, I won't bore you to tears. A queen's oath. And then they talk about what that actually means. And Elide's like, rebuilding. Aelin's like, trade negotiations. Sorry, rebuilding. Elide says rebuilding. Lysandra says trade negotiations. Aelin said training a new generation in magic. Which all sounds not boring at all. Jesus Christ.
Aelin angled her head, blinking right back at them. Don't you lot have anything worthwhile to contribute? She clicked her tongue. 3 of you are ancient as hell, I'd have expected better from cranky old bastards.
But Fenris says 4. 4 of us are old as hell. Vaughn is still out there and now free. Alright, man. Vaughn exists, okay? Does anyone remember who Vaughn is? No. Because he's one of the cadre and fucks off and then never comes back and then for some reason is brought up again at the end of this book.
I don't know.
He's still out there. So now they're gonna go look for him. Okay, great.
Well, Fenris is.
Yeah, Fenris is gonna go.
I promise he's not as miserable as Lorcan. Elide smacked his arm and Fenris darted away. Hands up as he left. You like him. All the ladies do.
Aelin laughed, the sound lighter, freer than any she had made, and faced the stirring kingdom. We promised everyone a better world, she said after a moment, voice solemn. So we'll start with that. Starting small, Fenris said. I like it. Also, she decides democracy. Yay!
Yay!
She's like, that voting thing that we did with the word keys. That was cool. We should do that more often. And,
they're like, what do we start with?
Adian's like,
dinner?
Like dinner? And Elide's like, I think Aelin meant, like, how to run the kingdom. And Lorcan said, you're queen. Why would we vote? You just do whatever.
What's there to vote on?
Aelin is like, I want a representative of the people, okay? To help with these decisions. Each territory, regardless of the lords who rule it, should have a voice, one chosen by its people. Oh, so great.
The cadre looked toward one another. Rowan said, the cadre looked toward one another then. Rowan said, there was a kingdom to the east long ago. They believed in such things. Pride glowed in his eyes, brighter than the dawn. It was a place of peace and learning, a beacon in a distant and violent part of the world. Once the Library of Orinth is rebuilt, we'll ask the scholars to find what they can about it. We could reach out to the kingdom itself, Fenris said. See if some of their scholars or leaders might want to come here to help us. I could do it. Travel there if you wish.
And Aelin's like, well, you mean library. We don't have a library. And he's like, yeah, in a royal theater. She's like, where?
There was never a theater.
To get the money for this. And he's like, well, now that Maeve's dead, I'm a prince again. Like, super officially. So all of her money is basically getting split between me and Celine.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm rich again. So it's great. I'm going to build you a theater and a library.
I just like that Aelin waves him off and goes, need I remind you that, like, I don't have money? And he goes, need I remind you that since you beheaded Maeve, I'm the Prince of Doranel? She's like, He's like, it's a wedding gift.
Access to all my assets and estates. Consider them my mating presents to you, Fireheart. She threw her arms around him, laughing to the lightening sky, and she burst into tears.
Aelin then goes and talks to everyone, like Prince Gallon, Ansel, Rolf, Ilias, and essentially asks them, like, so what you guys gonna do now?
Mm-hmm.
Offers them they can stay for as long as they need to like recover and then move on. Prince Gallon, Ansel, and Ilias are like, we're gonna leave tomorrow. Like, we gotta go. And she's like, okay, yeah, cool. Rolf is like, I don't really have a place to go. Because, like, you destroyed Skull's Bay. I don't know if we should return there or, like, what we're gonna do. And Aelin essentially is like, well, you can stay here until you figure that out. So Rolf is gonna stay for a little bit. And figure all of that out. Where he's gonna go. Where, if he's gonna rebuild Ilium. If he's gonna go back to Skull's Bay. We don't know. She essentially thanks all of them for coming when she called for their aid. They pretty much said, like, we owed you a debt and it was for a better world. So here we are. We did it.
She says, thank you for coming when I asked. Thank you on behalf of Terrasin. I am in your debt. We are in your debt, Ansel countered. I wasn't, Rolf muttered.
We're gonna have fun, you and I.
Oh my god.
I think we're gonna have a great deal of fun.
The last person that she goes and sees is Manon! She finds Manon. And she just says, Queen of the Krakens and the Iron Teeth. Impressive. But she turns to her, and Manon, her face is just like grief and exhaustion and sadness. And Aelin just says, I heard. And Manon doesn't say anything. Her silence conveying everything Aelin needed to know. No, she was not all right. Yes, it had destroyed her. No, she did not wish to talk about it. Aelin only said thank you. Manon nodded vaguely, so Aelin walked toward the witch, then past her, right to where Abraxos sat, gazing towards the Rallis, the blasted patch of earth. There will be a monument, she said to Abraxos, to Manon, should you wish it. I will build a monument right there. No one shall ever forget what was given, who we have to thank. Wind sang through the tower, hollow and brisk, but then footsteps crunched in hay, and Manon sat down beside her. Yet Aelin did not speak again, and asked no more questions, and Manon, realizing it, let her shoulders curve inward, let her head bow, as she might never do to anyone else, as no one else might understand the weight they bore. In silence, the two queens stared towards the decimated field, towards the future beyond it. Yay. Then we get Aelin's coronation.
10 days later, they have it's coronation day.
It's so cute. Everyone is like dressed to the nines. Lorcan is in like a great like royal or lordly suit or something.
Rowan wore a green jacket threaded with silver. It was the least practical thing he ever done. At his side, at least, he bore his sword, Goldrin hanging from his other hip. Thankfully, Lorcan looked as uncomfortable as he did, clad in black. If you wore anything else, Aelin had tutted to Lorcan, the world would turn on its head. So burial black it is. Lorcan had rolled his eyes, but Rowan had glimpsed Elide's face when he'd spotted her and Lysandra in the hall off the throne room moments ago. Had seen the love and desire when she beheld Lorcan in his new clothes and wondered how soon this hall would be hosting a wedding.
A glance at Aelin, clad in terracin green as well, and Rowan smiled slightly. 2 weddings likely before the summer. Though neither Lysandra nor Aelin had mentioned it. It's
not.
gonna happen. Everybody's there. Ansel's there. Rolf's there. Galen is there. His cousins Endinia and Selene are there, who also apparently needed a good few hours of sitting in silence when Rowan told her that she's now the Fae Queen, which I find
She's
amazing.
the Queen of Dornell and the Fae Queen of the East.
So good. They're all
Aelin doesn't
there.
want it all, so we'll just keep. She's gonna keep the West.
She doesn't want any of it. She just wants Terracin. She's not even super pleased about the fucking little folk being like, "Here's Map's crown too." They're like everybody is there. The Coggan Royals are still around. Like, they all were like basically saying like, we're gonna leave, but they all stick around for Aelin's coronation and then are basically gonna leave after that. Mm-hmm. Chaol and Dorian are there. Yrene and Nezrin are there. Everybody's dressed up and looks so pretty.
Manon is in her flight leathers.
Yeah, Manon doesn't wear it. She's in her flight leathers because anything else is ridiculous.
Though she did have her crown of stars.
Mm-hmm. Of course she did. Darrow is like at the front. He's gonna like Master of Ceremonies is gonna do all of the things. And then like the doors open and the ceremony starts. And Elide and Lysandra walk out one after the other as like ladies in waiting to the queen. And they look so pretty. I'm so happy. And there's also like a comment that gets made about how like people whisper when like Lysandra like walks out. But it's because they're like, they recognize her as like the shifter that saved everybody rather than like what you would think that they would be whispering about, which is so nice that like that's not what it was. And then Aelin comes out after, clad in flowing gauzy green and silver, her golden hair unbound. Aelin paused on the threshold of the throne room. Rowan had never seen anyone so beautiful. Aelin gazed down the long aisle as if weighing every step she would take to the dais, to her throne. The entire world seemed to pause with her, lingering on that threshold, shining brighter than the snow outside. Aelin lifted her chin and began her final walk home. She goes up to the dais, and Darrow like he's got the sword of Orinth. Aedion is there on like the left side of the throne, and she goes up to the like dais and kneels in front of her throne, in front of her crown and her kingdom. Like the only time that she will ever kneel to anything is like to her kingdom. And then she speaks the words in like the old language of her oath to her kingdom. Then, so it shall be, then speak your vows. Aelin's heart raced, and she knew Rowan could hear it, but she bowed her head and said, I, Aelin Ashriver Whitethorn Galathinius, swear upon my immortal soul to guard, to nurture, and to honor Terracin from this day until my very last day. Then so it shall be, Darrow responded, and reached out a hand. Not to her, but to Evangeline, who stepped forward with a green velvet pillow, a crown atop it. Otterlin had destroyed her antler throne, had melted her crown, so they had made a new one. In the 10 days since it had been decided she was to be crowned here before the world, they had found a master goldsmith to forge one from the remaining gold they stole from the barrow in Wendlin. Twinning bands of it, like woven antlers, rose to uphold the gem in its center. Not a true gem, but one infinitely more precious. Darrow had given it to her himself. the cut bit of crystal that contained the soul bloom of King's Flame from Orlan's reign. Even amid the shining metals of the crown, the red and orange blossom glowed like a ruby, dazzling in the light of the morning sun as Darrow lifted the crown from the pillow. He raised it towards the shaft of light pouring through the bank of windows beyond the dais, the ceremony chosen for this time, this ray of sun, this blessing from Mala herself. Ugh. Darrow set the crown upon her head, its weight heavier than she thought. Aelin closed her eyes, letting the weight, that burden and gift, settle into her. Rise, Darrow said. Aelin Ash River Whitethorn Galathinius, Queen of Terrasen. Long may she reign.
Yay!
Yay!
Hail, Aelin, Queen of Terrasen. Aelin turned to leave, toward Aedion. Aelin turned toward her left, toward Aedion, and said quietly, but not weakly, "This has been yours from the day you were born, Prince Aedion." Aedion went still as Aelin pushed back her gauzy sleeve of her gown, exposing her forearm. Aedion's shoulders shook with the force of his tears. "Will you swear the blood oath to me?" Aedion just fell to his knees before her. Aelin paused as she held it over her arm, a dagger over her arm. "You fought for Terrasen when no one else would, against all odds, beyond all hope. You fought for this kingdom, for me, for these people. Will you swear to continue to do so for as long as you draw breath?" Aedion's head bowed as he breathed. "Yes, in this life and in all others, I will serve you and Terrasen." Aelin smiled. "Then drink, Prince, and be welcome." Gently, Aedion took her arm and set his mouth on her wound. And when he withdrew, her blood on his lips, Aelin smiled down at him. "You said you wanted to swear it before the entire world," she said, so only he could hear. "Well, here you go." Aedion choked out a laugh and rose, throwing his arms around her and squeezing tightly, before he backed to his place on the other side of the throne. Now, where were we? He looked at Darrow. "The last piece of the ceremony. Then lunch," Fenrys muttered, sighing. Aelin suppressed her smile and took the 2 steps to her throne. She halted again as she turned to sit. Halted as the small figures who poked their heads around the throne room doors, a small gasp escaped her, enough that everyone turned to look. "The little folk," people murmured, some backing away as small figures darted through the shadows down the aisle, wings rustling and scales gleaming. One of them approached the dais and with spindly greenish hands laid their offering at her feet. The second crown, Maeve's crown. Taken from her saddlebags wherever they had wound up after the battle. With them, it seemed, as if they would not let it be lost once more, would not let her forget. Aelin picked up the crown they had laid at her feet, gaping toward the small gathering who clustered in the shadows beyond the pews, their dark, wide eyes blinking. "The fairy queen of the West," Elide said softly. Though all heard, Aelin's fingers trembled, her heart filling to the point of pain as she surveyed the ancient glimmering crown, then looked to the little folk. "Yes," she said to them, "I will serve you too until the end of my days." And Aelin bowed to them then, the near invisible people who had saved her so many times and asked for nothing. The Lord of the North who had survived as she had against all odds, who had never forgotten her. She would serve them as she would serve any citizen of Terrasen. Everyone on the dais bowed too, then everyone in the throne room. But the little folk were already gone. So she placed Maeve's crown atop the one of gold and crystal and silver, the ancient crown settling perfectly behind it. And then finally, Aelin sat upon her throne. It weighed on her, nestled against her bones, the new burden, no longer an assassin, no longer a rogue princess. And when Aelin lifted her head to survey the cheering crowd, when she smiled, Queen of Terrasen and Fairy Queen of the West, she burned bright as a star. It's so good. Everyone cheered, and the whole thing happened, and then she goes out and greets all her people, but she refuses to do it by herself.
She takes all of them with her.
Yep, she takes all of her friends.
It's so good.
She beckons her court forward, then smiled at Dorian and Chaol, at Yrene and Nesryn and Sartaq and their companions, and beckoned them forward too. Walk with me, she gestured to them all, the gates behind her, all of you. This day did not belong to her alone, not at all, and when they all balked, Aelin walked forward, took Yrene Westfall by the hand to guide her to the front, then Manon Blackbeak, Elide Lorcan, Lysandra, Evangeline, Nesryn Philique, Forte, and Hussar, and Ansel of Briarcliff, all the women who had fought by her side, or from afar, who had bled and sacrificed and never given up hope that this day might come. Walk with me. My friends. The bells still ringing, Aelin nodded to the guards at the castle gates. They opened at last, and the roar from the gathering crowds was loud enough to rattle the stars. As one, they walked out into the cheering city, into the streets where people danced and sang, where they wept and clasped their hands to their hearts at the sight of the parade of waving, smiling rulers and warriors and heroes who had saved their kingdom, their lands. At the sight of the newly crowned queen, joy lighting her eyes, a new world, a better world.
Yay! Guys, it's not even the end of the book.
No.
It sounds like it should be. Basically, the like... It's like you got just like 4 or 5 epilogues as part of, like, they don't, this is not the way that books are written now. Like, usually they like end and then they're like, all right, and then here's an epilogue separately. Like, this is just, here's everything that basically happens. I'm gonna wrap this up in a nice bow.
Yeah, you're not gonna think, what happens next?
What happened? Yeah. She just is like, this is what happened. Because we've been here for
8
like
books.
100,000 pages. Yeah, like, it's basically the day that everyone's gonna leave. And we get a bunch more little scenes, like short scenes of people saying goodbye. The first one is with Dorian and Chaol, Nesryn, and Sartaq. And Dorian's like basically looks at Nesryn and is like, I think I'm about to lose another captain of the guard, but I will be glad to gain another queen I call friend. And Sartaq corrects and says, Empress. She's gonna be an empress.
Not a queen.
Not a queen, she's empress. Chaol and Irene's moment is that Chaol gets a note from his mom that basically says, like, I have loved you your whole life. I found out what your father had done and that he kept all of your letters from me, and I'm not going back. I told him I'm never going back. And also, if it's okay with you guys, we'd love to come and stay with you when you're done. Like, have the baby, you know, if you're comfortable, we'd love it if you came and stayed. And Chaol is like overjoyed. Because it's everything.
He just says to
Yrene.
He just says to Yrene, we're going to have to build a bigger house.
Yeah.
And she's like, yep. Sounds great.
Cool. Sounds great.
We'll do that.
And then we get Dorian and Manon. And they have this whole conversation. Dorian is like, you know, I have a proposal.
Could come visit me.
I think it would be great if, like, you know, we have these rooks that are gonna stay, or wyvern that are gonna stay. They're gonna need, like, people to train them. If you could be in charge of that, I'd appreciate it. And Manon's like, yeah, I feel like I could spare some time, come back every once in a while. And Yrene is like, you know what would be easier? You two should just get married. Then you have the political alliance. You'd have, it would just be more convenient for you guys coming back and forth. And Dorian is like embarrassed as hell. And Manon just like looks at him and says, we'll see. And then flies away. just the most fucking badass exit. It's like, well, I'll think about it.
We'll
and
see.
Then goes.
Manon Blackbeak, High Queen of the Crokins and Iron Teeth, said before she and her wyvern leapt into the skies. Kale and Yrene began bickering, laughing as they did, but Dorian strode to the edge of the eyrie, watched that white-haired rider and the wyvern with silver wings become distant as they sailed toward the horizon.
Irene's exact comment is, you should just marry each other. It'd make it easier for you both, and you don't need to pretend. And it'd be a strong alliance for our two kingdoms. Kale just gapes at her. Like, what the fuck did you
Yrene
just
just shrugged. It'd be such a good alliance, right?
Look, I'm saying what we're all thinking. I'm not here for this pining will they, won't they. Just fucking marry each other and let's get on with it. I don't have time.
The thing.
Oh, it's so good. They, like, the next bit is, like, Rowan and Aelin. Rowan's,
saying
like,
goodbye
knows that this is going to be a hard day for Aelin. And as they say goodbye to Yrene and Chaol, Yrene whispers to her to, like, have them call for her when their first child is near. Because there's going to be fae babies. Because they're
Rowan
like,
didn't want to think about how hard it would be to have a fae baby, but, it's fine. We'll cross that bridge.
Yrene is way too powerful to let anything happen to that fae baby.
True.
After they say goodbye to everybody and everyone kind of leaves and goes where they're gonna go, Aelin just says to Rowan, wait, hold on, I have to actually find it.
Well, she says goodbye to Kale and Dorian and tells them that she loves them both. And no matter what may happen, no matter how far we may be, that will never change. We will see you again, Kale said, but even his voice was thick with tears. Together, Dorian breathed, shaking. We'll rebuild this world together. The three of them.
Oh,
the whole fucking thing started with the three of them, and then it comes back. Thank you for all you have done for me. Those are words I'd never thought I'd hear from you. She barked a rasping laugh. You're a king now. Such insults are beneath you. He grinned. Aelin smiled at Chaol, at his wife, waiting beyond him. I wish you every happiness, she said to him, to them both. We will see each other again, he repeated. Then he and Dorian turned toward their horses, toward the bright day beyond, toward their kingdom. To the south, shattered now, but not forever.
They all leave, and Aelin lets out a long sigh. Will you let me cry in bed for the rest of the day like a pathetic worm if I promise to work on rebuilding tomorrow? Rowan says, would you like me to bring you cakes and chocolate so your wallowing can be complete?
If you can find anything. You destroyed the word keys and slew Maeve. I think I can manage to find you some sweets.
Let's get you to your chambers, your majesty, so you can commence your royal wallowing. She shook with laughter. I think I have something else in mind now. Rowan let out a growl and nipped at her neck. Good, I do too. And tomorrow, she asked breathlessly as they both paused to look at each other, to smile. Will you work to rebuild this kingdom, this world with me, tomorrow? Tomorrow, and every day after. Aelin kissed him again and took his hand, guiding him into the castle, into their home. To whatever end, she breathed. To whatever end, Fireheart. Oh!
I think my favorite thing in this entire book, line-wise, between Aelin and Rowan, is he tucked her in close. I'm thinking about how very grateful I am that we made it, that I found you, and how even with all that work to be done, I will not mind a moment of it because you are with me. She frowned, her eyes dampening. I'm going to have a terrible headache from all this crying, and you're not helping. Rowan laughed and kissed her again. Very queenly. She hummed. I am, if anything, the consummate portrait of royal grace. He chuckled against her mouth. And humility. Let's not forget that. Oh, yes, she said, winding her arms around his neck. His blood heated. Let's get you to your chambers, Majesty, so you can commence your royal wallowing. That little spot, I was just like, that's very them.
It's so cute. It's painful.
And then our final chapter, A Better World. Brutal winter.
It's basically
way
like
to soft spring.
Yeah, it's like 3 months later.
Yeah. The winter goes. They are rebuilding. They are doing their thing. And as spring comes...
Yeah. Aelin writes to Nehemia's parents that they would, like, want to meet and they would repair the world together. And they replied Nehemia would wish it so. Oh! Elide and Lorcan are married.
Yes.
That happened fast.
Elide and Lorcan, now Lord Lorcan Locken, to Aelin's eternal amusement, had gone back to Paranth only a week ago to begin the rebuilding there.
But everyone's coming back in 3 weeks for Aedion and Lysandra's wedding. Yay!
The Prince of Wendland no longer, but a true Lord of Terrasen. Because Lady and Lord. He gonna be taking on Lysandra's name.
I love that he gets to be a Lord of Terrasen, but because he's marrying Lysandra. Yes! Oh, indeed. It's so sweet.
And then we have our wrap up, because
like all the boys become
they're
lords of Terrasen because they married their women.
Yeah.
They married all of our boss ass bitches. I'm so happy about it.
We get our final little tidbit. Indeed, Fleetfoot lay beside the fire on her little cushioned bed, curled up tightly, and as equally exhausted as Rowan, apparently. The hound didn't bother to crack open an eye as Aelin shuffled to like the little window to look outside. But that's our note. That's our second note.
Fleetfoot.
This
Fleetfoot's good.
book, because we had not seen or heard about Fleetfoot in a while. We got the garden up top for her to go and pee in the middle of the night if she needs to. And then this. She's laying on her little bed. So that Aelin doesn't have to get up. We just open the door to her best garden.
She's getting up because her new, like, ritual in the morning is to, like, wake up and go outside and look at, like, her territory that's there and her kingdom that's safe and happy. And today, when she goes out, she sees something. She went still, her hands slackening at her sides as she beheld what the dawn had revealed. Rowan, she whispered. From the rustle of sheets, she knew he was instantly awake, stalking towards her, even as he shoved on his pants. But Aelin didn't turn as he rushed onto the balcony and halted too. In silence they stared. Bells began pealing, people shouted, not with fear, but in wonder. A hand rising to her mouth, Aelin scanned the broad sweep of the world. The mountain wind brushed away her tears, carrying with it a song ancient and lovely. From the very heart of Oakwald, the very heart of the earth. Rowan twined his fingers with her and whispered awe in every word. For you, Fireheart. All of it is for you. Aelin wept in joy that lit her heart, brighter than any magic could ever be. For across every mountain, spread beneath the green canopy of Oakwald, carpeting the entire plain of Theralis, the king's flame was blooming. And that's it! That's it. That's all.
So as we do with every book, I gave it 5 stars. That's all. 5 stars. Mild spice. Definitely 5 stars.
So, it's your favorite. I'm
Yes.
spoiling because you already said
I've
this
said
to me.
this
You said this to me
many
before we
times.
barely even finished. We weren't even done the series yet. And you were like,
We
this
didn't
is
even
it.
start this book yet.
Yes.
Sarah J. Maas. I read ACOTAR first. It's
Then
what brought
Crescent
me
City.
into the fantasy world. Like, it is
Mhm.
what got me. It is the first fantasy series I read was ACOTAR.
Yeah. When you started reading again.
Mm-hmm. When I started reading again. Because I was very adamant contemporary romance was where I was, and I didn't think I was going to like fantasy at all. ACOTAR did it. Hook, line, sinker.
ACOTAR
I was in.
Was what I wanted you to read the most when I started reading. Like, I could not shut up about ACOTAR to you. I hadn't read Throne of Glass yet. But you were very like, I'm just going to do these one-off contemporary romance.
Yeah.
And then
Which I still, between fantasy reads, I have to go back to a contemporary romance.
Yeah.
It's like where my heart is I love them so much.
I'm on a contemporary romance binge right now.
For anyone that is like fantasy heavy and needs like something that's moving, that maybe is like a little smut, but like not really, Abby Jimenez.
That's true. For contemporary romance. If you
Contemporary
want a nice
romance.
mix.
If you're going from fantasy to contemporary romance, I would say Abby Jimenez because it's story driven by most.
If you're going from Throne of Glass specifically, absolutely.
Yes.
It has the same spice. It has the same spice level and the same she will tear your heart out and put it in a meat grinder and then put it back together by the time the book is fucking done.
And she's so good.
Her writing is just fantastic.
Like I was saying, I read ACOTAR first, then I read Crescent City because the third book was coming out and I wanted to read the third book kind of when it came out.
Yep.
I probably should not have done that process because it made me not like Crescent City. I feel like the story itself I like, but I went from reading all of ACOTAR and then I read Book of Azrael and then I went to Crescent City, and Book of Azrael is like,
yo, that next book is coming out soon.
Book of Azrael
but not
is like
fast enough.
Kingdom of Ash by itself and all of ACOTAR. Like, it's that level of like, it's so good.
I don't want to have to wait until October.
But it's dark fantasy romance.
Is it October after you got back or while you're...
I have no idea. I don't remember the date. I don't know the date. It just says October. Anyway.
I think there is a date now, though.
Throne of Glass is my favorite of all of Sarah J. Maas that is currently written. I have read all of them. And I would say this series is, granted, ACOTAR's not finished. Crescent City, likely not finished. So I could change my mind. But as it stands right now, and I loved ACOTAR. It will live rent-free in my brain forever. This will also live rent-free. Aelin, Ash River, Whitethorn, Galathinius is the best female main character.
I'll give you that. Aelin,
and I love
is the
a female
best
main character.
I would say Aelin is the best character she's written, in my opinion.
I agree.
Because like Feyre's,
Farrah at a lot of points annoyed me,
and that's why I'm like trying to think. I was like, Feyre
at no point
annoyed me.
Does Aelin
Bryce
annoy
is
me?
Great, but she's still like.
She treats.
There's something about Aelin's like sass, but also her just like soul wrenching humility at the same time that Bryce didn't have. Like Bryce
has the sassy,
had self doubt and whatever, but like this is like she a lot of the time does not believe that she deserves or is worth what she has by birth or whatever.
With Bryce was not her as a character, it's how she treated the people around her. Aelin does everything for those around
Oh,
her.
100%.
And
yeah,
the way
that's true.
Bryce did things, it was for her and her one friend, and that was it. And even the people that, like, went above and beyond. So, like, people in her life that would be, like, Rowan or Aelin and all of these things, she just kind of, like, ignored them a lot of the time and, like, did not give them the time of day. Which I was like, please see that these people are fantastic and wonderful and treating you so well, which I kind of don't think you deserve right now. Which is why I didn't like those books specifically, I think.
Yeah.
But I do like, there are parts of those that, like, live in my heart forever.
I think there's a lot more relationship-driven plot stuff in the other two that's less in this.
Yeah.
This is more very much like fantasy
her.
with more personal relationships than romantic relationships.
Correct, yeah. It's so good. I have a friend who's only read ACOTAR, and she's currently finishing Crescent City, and I told her, if Crescent City doesn't hit you, just, like, stop reading it and read Throne of Glass. It's so worth it.
It's just so long.
If I knew she was reading Crescent City, I would be like, don't read Crescent City, just read Throne of Glass. It's so good.
It is very intimidating to pick up, because it's a lot.
It is. But it's Bree. She's like...
Bree will be fine.
Yeah, she'll be fine. She
got time.
Fantasy. She also loves fantasy. She's not like me, where I, like, need a break from fantasy to, like, get back into it. She's like, just give me fantasy all the time. That's all I want to read. So for her, it'll be, she goes, I don't know if, her thing is, I don't know if I can be devastated. Like, if I can go through that.
Oh,
I'm
my
like,
sweet angel.
It's going to be a while.
That's
just go.
Fair. Because I was going to say, I was like, I still think that in terms of this, like, that was a lot. Like, she went young adult, fuck you, torture for 400 pages. Have fun. Yep. Dude, that hurt. That was a lot. That was borderline too much for me. It's not even that it was, like, anything, like, all of it was terrible, but it wasn't, like, horrific. It was just, it went on for so long.
Well, that's that for Throne of Glass.
It's fine now, because she's queen.
She's queen. Everything's great. Except for the 13. That's not great. I'm still sad about the 13. It's fine.
We have, like, an in memoriam section now. Gavriel, the 13. Connell, which we'll include because he kind of got shafted, even though he was a dick, kind of, sort of, at the end. But we're going to say that was because Maeve was controlling his mind. I believe that. Murtough, Sorsha,
Nehemia.
Who else?
A lot of people die in this one.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a long list.
There's a decent amount of people that die in Crescent City, but it doesn't hit as hard.
Dorian's dad. I'm putting him on the list.
I'll forever only think about pizza with Crescent City.
Oh, God. Thank you for checking out this episode, and we hope that you enjoyed your time here. You can find us at the Smut Peddlers on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok for additional content.
Thanks for suffering with us.
Yay! It's fine. It ended in joy, so the suffering was worth it.
Yay, flowers!
Yay!